nübüvvet, hakikat arayışında peygamber ışığı.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. My topic is why humanity needed the guiding role of prophets. I must present some reasons, and also it would be in the light of Wasiul along with a small background. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, wa salatu wa salamu ala Rasulih Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. There was always immorality and wickedness in this world. For this very cause, the world needed prophets to guide them, to present them with a religion compatible with human nature. If one studies the pre-Islamic period, one finds that the whole world lay in the grip of paganism, savagery, debauchery, anarchy, and despotism. The poor were exploited by the rich. In short, the whole world lacked comprehensive laws, civilized order, and a social system. If you talk about India, it was full of superstitious ideas, myths, and different traditions. Indians had many different languages as well as gods. In the same way, they had several religions and customs. One of the biggest problems which can be considered as a stigma on any cultural society was troublesome caste system that divided Indian nations in several groups. In Persia, people had no understanding of Almighty God. They worshipped fire. If we look hard at pre-Islamic Arabia, we find that its people were secluded. Neither had they been under any powerful government nor the organization. It was a male-dominated society where a man could marry a number of women. What's more, they sometimes could bury their female infants alive. The same hopeless situation obtained in the rest of the world. The form and content differed from place to place. That very situation Said Nursi indicated too. A quote, "There is no limit to human greed and desire. Nobody exercised any constraint on his deeds. This anarchy and indiscipline could not be dealt within the realm of the then human laws. The need was of a live, immortal, and divine law, which would bring happiness to humanity in both in this world and hereafter. Thus, there was a severe need of such people, prophets, who could remove mental obstacles of individuals and act as a coordinator between God and humans. This way, their function was to tell people what God wanted of them, of orders and prohibitions. In other words, it can be said that they guided people to true happiness and took them to perfection of spiritual and moral goals, as well as guided them to the laws governing their mundane life. If one goes deep into it, one may find several reasons. First reason behind sending prophets. The first of all is to unite people in the name of God, which is called monotheism, Tawheed. As Quran says, وَلَقَدْ بَعَثْنَا فِي كُلِّ أُمَّةٍ رَسُولًا أَنْ يَعْبُدُوا اللَّهَ وَاجْتَنِبُوا الطَّاغُوتَ. We have sent in every nation a messenger to guide people towards worship of God instead of worship of idols. This act, without prophets and their guiding role, as well as their preaching, wasn't possible. That's why Said Nursi said, a quote, "Yes, it's necessary to have a magnificent universe like this, and also like its maker, the Holy One, such a noble prophet, as light is necessary for the sun. For as the sun can't emerge without light, the divinity too can't show itself without sending messengers." Imam Nursi went on focusing more and more on monotheism and the need of prophets. As he said, again a quote, "Is it possible for the Creator who equipped the human beings with various types of sentiments and trends and also made them ready for complete servitude not to ask the attention of this kind of abundance to monotheism through a guide, an apostle, a messenger?" Thus, there are more other signs which are conclusive evidence, which are showing the function of prophecy and its task. In the same way, they describe that divinity can't be imagined without messengers. Later, he divided monotheism in two parts. Number one, that general way, it means God is one. He has no counterpart, and this universe is his own property. Number two, real monotheism. It means belief more like an observation that God is one. He has specialized in drawing attention of people to such monotheism, and then through that monotheism to their obligations and responsibilities. Because existence of a just and monotheistic society can't be considered without constructive thoughts and responsible human beings. Nursi, in his book Al-Kalimat, gave a good example of two soldiers as he compared the honest one, who is honest to his duty, with the dishonest one. In Nursi's word, a quote, the first one who was honest said to other one, "Oh brother, your main mission is training and preparation for war. That's why you are selected for. So rely on the king and be dependent on him for your livings. He can't leave you to die of hunger. That's his duty and responsibility. What's more, I'm afraid they can consider it, your activity, as an act of treason and treachery, so they certainly can punish you." Prophets used to deliver this message that if we started believing God properly by worshipping him, he will certainly arrange for our earnings as he arranged for thousands of poor and indigent ones. If we lived in this world, leaving the responsibilities behind, we would be considered infidels as well as unbelievers. As a result, we would certainly be punished in hereafter. The second reason, behind sending prophets. The second important reason behind sending messengers was teaching people divine knowledge and purifying them. As Quran says, هو الذي بعث في الأميين رسولا منهم يتلو عليهم آياته ويزكيهم ويعلمهم الكتاب والحكمة. That's the God who sent in illiterates a messenger from among them, who recites to them his signs, teaches them books and wisdom, and purifies them. At another place, Quran itself made a comparison between literate and ignorant ones when said, قُلْ هَلْ يَسْتَوِي الَّذِينَ يَعْلَمُونَ وَالَّذِينَ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ. Say, are those who know equal to those who know not? Ignorance was always considered a pivot of all evilness. Imam Nursi described it as our great enemy. A quote, of course, our enemy is ignorance, necessity, and divergence. We shall fight these three enemies with the weapons of industries, knowledge, and unity. So ignorance was the first cause which led Muslim nation to a lot of social and behavioral problems. What's noteworthy is that he means, Imam Nursi, by knowledge and contemplation, the proper knowledge of Prophet, religion, and other contemporary sciences through which one can decide what's right and what's wrong. He wrote, a quote, "The religious sciences are shining of the heart. In the same way, the modern sciences are light of heart. With the combination of both, one starts getting the facts." Naturalist delusion. At this point, I can say that from illumination and knowledge, Nursi means fruitful knowledge, which can be helpful in realization and getting the fact, because if it's not positive, it can be harmful as well as misleading. As the naturalists considered the nature, which is the biggest divine law and also big symbol of divine law, real God. It was the startling act which they did in the state of stupor. As a result, they pronounced the art, the artist, and the book, the universe, the writer. It was their fault. If they would have followed the prophet's instructions and their ways, they would certainly have understood it and got the right path. About them, Quran said, وَيَتَفَكَّرُونَ فِي خَلْقِ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ رَبَّنَا مَا خَلَقْتَ هَذَا بَاطِلًا. They think deeply about the creation at earth and heavens and say, "Oh God, you didn't create it without a purpose." On other places, Its repeated questions Quran's repeated questions like, أَفَلَا تَدَبَّرُونَ? Did they not ponder? It's an indication to the realization which is based on known facts that are in accordance with Prophet's guidance. Because there was no reason behind sending prophets other than unveiling before people the hidden virtues of wisdom and show them the signs of God's omnipotence and creation. This thought will come out from the heart of prophets and encompass the hearts of people, and finally will lead them to inner purification. And what was the purpose of that realization except human beings' absolute servitude towards God? To make them recall the promise they made at the time of their creation, which is known as Ahde Alast, when they had committed to worship God. So if the realization were based on stubbornness, it would be too difficult to take human being to the right path. It was expressed the same opinion in Al-Malahiq of Ustaz Nursi, a quote, no doubt, defending the corruption and irregularity which is coming from ignorance is very easy, whereas the irregularity or corruption coming from knowledge, it would be a difficult task to remove it. Third reason behind sending prophets. The third important reason is to establish peace and justice in the society. As Quran says, لَقَدْ أَرْسَلْنَا رُسُلَنَا بِالْبَيِّنَاتِ وَأَنزَلْنَا مَعَهُمُ الْكِتَابَ وَالْمِيزَانَ لِيَقُومَ النَّاسُ بِالْقِسْطِ. Indeed, we have sent our messengers with clear proofs and revealed with them the book and the balance so that they can exercise justice. On the day of judgment, people had to be accountable for every activity they have done. If anywhere human rights are violated, it would be against the spirit of Islam and justice. In our most authentic Islamic era, we have seen that people of different religions and communities were sharing equal rights and opportunities. There was no difference even between king and his people, whether they were Muslims, Christians, or followers of any other religion. According to Nursi, a quote, equality is not in virtue and honor, equality is in right. Thus, the king and the poor are equal in right. The Sharia, which prevented from torturing an ant in order not to trample it intentionally, how it can ignore the human being? So there are other several reasons which can be considered as purpose, as causes behind sending prophets, but I'm leaving them. And at the last moment, I just want to thank Istanbul Foundation for Science and Culture for calling me here and organizing such a seminar. Thank you very much. Well, Assalamu alaikum.
İstanbul İlim ve Kültür Vakfı